Okay, perfect. All right. Well, like I said, I'm dietitian Tori. I'm in Ankeny, Iowa. I don't know where you guys are at. If you want to put in the chat box where you're tuning in from, I'm always curious to see where everyone's at. But today we are going to be making homemade crispy black bean tacos with blender salsa. Oh, we got Minnesota. Awesome. So we are making a full meal today, which I'm super excited about. Have either of you ever made homemade tacos before? Anyone ever made homemade tacos themselves? Yes. Okay. Somewhat maybe. How about homemade salsa? Anyone ever made homemade salsa before? Yes. Okay, perfect. Good. Well, now especially the time to do homemade salsa because we've got a lot of fresh produce coming from the garden. So, if you guys are using fresh produce, awesome. If not, you probably got it from the store too. And we also have Waverly, Iowa. Awesome. Okay, so perfect. I'm glad to see where you guys are tuning in from. But okay, we're going to be making two different things today, but I'm super excited because this recipe hopefully will be super easy and not have too much cleanup afterwards too, because the important part of cooking is also cleaning afterwards, which sometimes isn't our favorite part, but hopefully this one won't be too bad. But let's get started. I'm going to move to the back. So let me re-angle my camera. Okay. All right. Can you guys still see and hear me okay? Okay, perfect, awesome. All right, so we are gonna start making our meal tonight. So we're gonna start with this salsa first. So let me kind of run through the ingredients that we have so we can make sure we're all ready to go. So for our homemade blender salsa, we are gonna need 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. And if you guys have your can opener handy, we'll definitely be using that today. We've got 3 canned items, so we'll be needing to use that can opener. So we have our fire roasted tomatoes, and then we're also going to have a small can of the mild green chilies. Now, if you really do not like spice, maybe our family doesn't enjoy spice, that's okay. You can leave these out if you don't want it, but they are mild, so they're not super spicy, or at least they shouldn't be. Now we're also going to need an onion. You can do a sweet or yellow onion. We are also going to need 2 tomatoes from the vine. These could be ones from your garden or from the store. And then make sure you have those washed if you haven't already. Get those nice and washed. We're gonna need garlic. I am using jar garlic, not fresh garlic, but if you're using fresh garlic, perfectly fine. And then we're gonna need some cilantro right here. And sometimes people like cilantro, sometimes people don't. So if you're kind of on the fence, maybe start with a little less, and then you can always add more later on. I'm a huge fan of cilantro, so I'm gonna add a lot of that in there. Then we're also going to need a lime. You could use the already juiced limes if you want, or a fresh lime, whichever one you prefer. And then we are also using Mrs. Dash seasoning. So this is a salt-free seasoning. Now you can absolutely use any other taco blend that you want. I would just kind of be mindful of our sodium. This one's the Fiesta Lime, but if you have a taco seasoning blend that you love to death, feel free to use that as well. So we are starting off with our salsa first, and then that means we need our blender or our smoothie food processor, whatever you guys are using. So have that ready to go, plugged in, everything assembled. And once you guys are ready, give me a thumbs up and we will get started. I'm gonna come a little bit closer so I can see you. Okay, all right, perfect. All right, so let's continue on. Our first item of business, we need to get all of our salsa ingredients into that food processor or that blender. So I'm gonna start by adding in our tomatoes from the vine. I'm gonna cut them in half just to help my blender out a little bit. You guys don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I know my blender sometimes needs a little extra help. So I'm gonna cut that probably into quarters just to give it a little extra assistance, and then add it straight to the blender. My goal with this recipe is to make it easy. So a lot of the stuff we're making today is just gonna go straight into that blender, which hopefully, eliminates some cleaning and hopefully eliminates, a ton of time. So add those 2 tomatoes in there. And then we are also, while we're cutting already, I'm gonna move on to my onion, and I'm gonna cut off both ends of the onion. And if you're not a huge fan of onion, you can leave that out. You could use onion powder. You could use green onions if you want. I know sometimes people don't like onions, but we're using 1/4 of the onion. So I cut off both of the ends. Now I'm gonna put that flat surface down so it's a little bit more stable. And then I'm gonna cut that onion in half. This might be a good time if we're not confident in our knife skills to maybe have an adult help us as well. So now that is cut in half, and then you're gonna cut one of those halves in half again. So let me show you what that looks like, and be mindful, sometimes these onions make it a little teary-eyed. This one's definitely a little potent. So now I just have 1/4 of that onion, and I'm adding it into my blender. The rest of that onion is free for you guys to use in any other recipes. Now, maybe you really, really like onion. You can always add extra in if you want to. Now, I'm also going to get our lime ready to go as well. So with a lime, in case you guys don't know this trick, sometimes I like to roll it. I put it on a flat surface and I press my palm into it and just kind of roll it around. That helps loosen up the juice a little bit more, so then you're not squeezing it as hard as you can to get that juice to come out. So feel free to roll that lime so it makes it a little bit easier for you. Now, lime is kind of another one of those things. Sometimes people really love the flavor and sometimes people really don't like the flavor. So the recipe calls for about 1/4 of a cup. So that's kind of about maybe half or a little less than half of that lime. You could use more or less. If you want to have a pretty garnish on top, you can, I'll show you how to do that if we'd like. But I have juiced it and now I'm cutting it in half. This one's a pretty big lime. I'm going to use only half of it, and we are going to squeeze that juice into your food processor or blender. Be mindful of your eyes or anybody else's eyes that are cooking near you. Sometimes that juice can spray it and it doesn't feel too good when it gets in your eye or gets in a cut. That doesn't feel too good either. So just be careful when you're squeezing it. If you have a citrus press, that will also help. A lemon or a lime squeezer, sometimes that helps too. But once you got all the juice that you can get or want to get, we are good to go on the lime. And then I'm gonna save this other half and I'm gonna make it into a cute little garnish later. Now, we're going to add our canned tomatoes. So if you guys have your canned tomatoes ready, I'm also going to add that in. I'm including the juice in here. I like to have my salsa be a little bit more loose, but you can have yours be chunky if you want to. So one of those cans going in. If you guys can smell it, you could smell that fire roasted. It kind of smells like a little smoky hint to it, which I think is really nice. Then you'll also add your mild green chilies, or if you're not adding those in, that is totally okay too, but you're gonna mix those in if you have them. Perfect. And then I'm also going to add in my garlic as well. So if you're using fresh garlic, it'd be about 1 clove, but I'm using the already minced garlic. So I'm gonna do about a spoonful and call that good. I always like to keep some of this in my fridge because it's a lot easier than having to chop the garlic all the time. And then we will grab that cilantro. Now again, this can be one herb that sometimes people love and sometimes people don't like it. So if you've never tried it before, just maybe have a little bit less. The recipe calls for about 1/2 cup. So I am just going to simply rip some of those leaves off and add it into my blender. I'm a huge fan of cilantro, so I'm probably going to add a bit more than most would. And then once you have what you need in there, you don't have to worry about cutting it because it's going to blend up in our blender or smoothie or food processor, whatever you're using. I have cilantro kind of flying everywhere. All right, Okay, cilantro's in there. We have one more item that we are going to put in there. That's that Mrs. Dash Fiesta Lime Seasoning. Or again, if you have another seasoning blend that you want, feel free to add that in there. And we are going to do about a teaspoon of it. And also, if you've never had it before, it's kind of does have a little bit of a kick. So if you are not a huge fan of spicy flavors, maybe do a little bit less than that. But okay, so now we've got all of our ingredients in. Give me a thumbs up when you guys have all of your ingredients in there and ready. We're close. Oh, okay, we got our thumbs up. Okay, awesome. All right, so now you guys are good to start blending whenever you're ready. I'm gonna start mine. Be careful, it might be a little bit loud. I'm gonna start by pulsing it first, and then I'll kind of let it run smooth. And now this is the part where you can decide if you want it to be a chunky salsa or a more runny, smooth salsa. I find that the smoother the salsa, the easier it is to blend with everything else that we're going to be blending it with for our beans and our tacos and everything. So I kind of go a little bit smoother, but it'll still process later on too. So you can kind of decide which one you want to do. Okay. I'm gonna check to see if I have any chunks going on in here. Ooh, a chunk of cilantro. Okay, that is looking good. All right, let me bring this closer so you guys can see it. Hi. All right. Oh, perfect. Good job, Grace. Awesome. All right. I'm sure everyone else is getting theirs together, but as you can see, nice and blended. Oh, yes. Give it a sample. See if you like it. Okay, perfect. So, salsa ready. Now, what we're going to do is if you have a serving dish or another bowl set to the side, we're going to pour pretty much all of this salsa in there. And or you could do it one of two ways. You can pour it all into this bowl and then take 1/4 a cup out of there. Or you could take 1/4 cup out right now and save that because we're going to use that for our beans in a second. So you decide how you want to do it. And be mindful that it might splash you. Okay. So I have that set to the side. Now I'm gonna take 1/4 cup. We still have some in the blender too, so we'll do that. 1/4 cup going right back in because that's gonna help smooth out everything else. So let's clean up our station a little bit because we're getting ready for our tacos now. So let's set some things off to the side. And good thing is we don't have to worry about cleaning the blender because we are about to use it again. All right, okay. We have our salsa ready to go. Now we're gonna move on to our taco part. So clean up your station a little bit, make some room. I'm gonna switch this. We'll go over here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. All right. And if you guys have tried the salsa, how do we like it? Is it pretty tasty? Hopefully. Okay, now I've got my taco ingredients ready. So we have our other salsa set to the side, some of it still in here. Now let's get ready for these tacos. First thing that we're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna open a can of black beans, and then we're gonna drain and rinse this. So if you haven't done it already, go ahead and drain and rinse your beans. Okay. And once you have those rinsed and ready, now we're gonna add our beans right into our food processor or blender, whatever you're using before, we're gonna use that again. Okay, perfect, you'll have that ready. So you're gonna add your beans into there, and then we have our salsa, and then a little bit more of that Fiesta lime. But again, if you do not like spice, this might be too spicy for you. So maybe test that out and see if you like it. Okay, that's about a tablespoon going in there. Now again, you can always do less if you don't want to. Okay, so now we have our beans, we have our salsa, and we have our taco seasoning. So now this is ready to blend again. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are ready to blend your taco mixture. Okay, I see some head shaking no. Okay, take your time. I'll tidy up a little bit more while you guys are getting ready. And while you guys are getting your mixture ready, also take a peek at your stove, and we're gonna start warming that up. You'll want about a medium heat. Now, depending on what oil you're using, that oil might get really, really hot. So be careful, be mindful of that. I'm using an olive oil, and sometimes olive oil can pop a little bit when it gets pretty heated. So I'm keeping it on kind of that medium low temperature right there. Okay. Thumbs up, are we ready to blend our black bean tacos? Okay, I think so. I can't tell. Okay, we're cutting. Yep, we're getting there. Okay, I'm gonna start blending mine. You guys keep going. Okay, let me show you what this looks like while you guys are getting closer to making it yourselves. So if you guys have ever seen refried beans, this is basically what we're making with that mixture. So it's gonna turn into a little bit more of a paste. Now, if you ended up putting more salsa in there, it'd be a little bit thinner, but we're kind of finding that happy medium where it's still a paste, not super liquidy, because we want it to stick to our taco shells. And I'll wait for you guys to give me a thumbs up when you have your bean mixture ready. Okay, thumbs up from Grace. Awesome. How are we doing, Paul? How are we doing, Hazel? Are we doing okay? Oh, thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's keep going. So we're done with our blender now. So if you guys want to move the blender out of the way, you can definitely do so. Save yourself some space. All right. Okay, getting that out of the way. We are now going to get ready to make our tacos. So have your tortillas ready. So I'm using a little bit of a mixture of some medium-sized tortillas, some mini tortillas as well. So I'm doing a little blend of both. You guys can use whatever you want. Whole wheat tortillas are going to give us a little bit more fiber in there. So I've got some whole wheat tortillas here. Now we also want to add some veggies in there. So I've got some shredded lettuce. You guys could choose if you wanted other veggies. We've got some good veggies in our salsa as well, but I want to add in some extra veggies if possible. So I have some of that shredded lettuce. And then I have some shredded cheddar cheese too. Now, it wasn't really on the grocery list, but sometimes tacos, cheese, that all blends together. So if you have some, feel free to use it. But our goal here, we are going to get our tortillas out, and we are gonna spoon some of that bean mixture into our tortillas. So I'm focusing on kind of half of it. So if you're looking at that tortilla, kind of split it in half, and you can spread the beans on one side, or you can spread it all over, but just do a little thinner layer. So up to you guys on that, and I'll show you what I mean by it. So we'll take about a tablespoon or so. You can always add more, so maybe start with less. There is a chance that some of it might spill out when you fold it over, and that's okay. It's okay to be a little bit messy with it. Okay. Spreading that out, even on the tortilla if you want to do that. So I spread it all over. Now I'm also going to spread in some shredded lettuce as well. And if you guys are using something else, that's totally okay. I'm going to add in a little bit of that shredded cheddar cheese too. And then once you have that all in there mixed together, you're going to bring those two halves together and give it a good squish. Give it a good squish. Some of it might spill out, but you are squishing it into this taco form, of course, because that's what we're making. All right, so once you have that, anybody else have their taco ready? I'm gonna be careful, I don't wanna spill over. So you guys are gonna make your taco, fold it in half, and because those beans are a little bit more of a paste, it's gonna stick together a little bit easier. So go ahead and start making those. And then set them off to the side as you're finishing them up. This mixture should make about, depending on your tortilla size, that's a little bit hard because we might all have different sizes of tortillas, but it could be about 6 to 8 potentially. But if you're using mini ones, you'll get much more out of that. If you're using large ones, not so much. So depending on what your tortilla size is, go ahead and spread that out. I'm gonna make a few and then I'm gonna show you guys the next step. So then that way we can make sure we have enough time to see every step. Then I'm gonna put my lettuce on there again. And then some more cheddar cheese. You could use whatever cheese you want or no cheese, up to you on that. And then squishing it together in half, taking that one side, flipping it over, make sure it is nice and squished together. And another one ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna move it over to the stove top as well. Okay. Now, if you guys saw on your recipe, the picture, so the reason why we're putting it in the pan is so that we can crisp it up a little bit. Sometimes people will want to heat up this bean mixture before they put it on the tacos, and that's totally okay too. And then you also don't necessarily have to heat it up if you don't want to. I like that crispy crunch of that shell. Sometimes people don't want to take that extra step, and that's okay too. All right, lettuce, then cheese, and then squish together again. All right, does anybody have a taco ready? Anyone have one folded and ready? Wonderful, awesome. Okay, super tasty. All right, let's make sure we get that pan heated up. And it should be getting nice and warm. Now, I'm gonna be facing away from you guys. So this is where we might want some parental help or some guidance from an adult. So you have that hot pan on the stove. You're gonna put a little bit of olive oil in there or oil of your choosing. And as that's getting warm, if you feel like it's popping and cracking and maybe spitting some oil out, turn that down a little bit more. And then once you have that oil in there, you're gonna place your tacos down. I can fit about 2 tacos in my pan. You might be able to fit more or less. And you're gonna have it cook on each side for maybe about 1 to 2 minutes. No raw meat is in here, so it doesn't have to cook fully. We're just trying to get it nice and crispy. So you can be the judge on that. Let me go back over here. Okay, I have my oil in there and I'm gonna add 2 tacos in. And mine might get a little bit loud. You might hear some sizzling in the background. And you can set a timer, you can just eyeball it. Have a spatula handy so you're ready to flip them when you're ready. You can always peek, lift it up ever so slightly and kind of see how it's doing. All right, I flipped mine. They're getting ready on the other side. You can tell that they're nice and crispy shell. And let those cook a little bit more. Awesome. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay. So then when your tacos have met the crispiness that you're looking for, you can pull them off, put them on a plate. Then we have our leftover salsa. I'm gonna pull some of that off so we can take a peek at it. Because I know we're getting closer to time a little bit, but keep doing your thing. I'm gonna put a little bit more oil in here because I've got one more taco. All right, I'm gonna put this other taco on. Let me show you guys my tacos so far. All right. Ooh, I about dropped them off my plate. Perfect. Okay. How's it going, Paul? How's it going? Oh my goodness, that looks so tasty. Oh, that looks delicious. Well, perfect. Okay, good. Awesome. And then we have our salsa for the side too. So if you want to, they're best when they're hot. And you also have your salsa too, in case you guys want extra tortilla chips or something along those lines too. But we have our tacos. Those beans are going to be our protein source. They're also giving us fiber. So sometimes you'll have ground meat in there, but you notice that we don't have that. So we need something that's going to give us protein that keeps us fuller for longer. But beans are kind of a dynamic duo. They have protein and they have fiber, which really keeps us fuller for longer. So that's why this is going to be a very satisfying and fulfilling dinner as well. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go tend to my taco. I will be right back. And then we will go over a few housekeeping things and you guys will be done. We're gonna finish early. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, just a few last minute things as you guys keep going. I'm going to tell you about our August challenge. So if you guys haven't heard about our fruit and veggie challenge, it's technically called our Healthy Hacks for back to school habits. So this challenge is for parents and kiddos alike. So it's trying to increase your fruit and veggie goals. So with this, we are going to be talking about, we have a whole bunch of different videos focusing on different healthy hacks on ways to get more produce into your diet. So parents and kiddos can do this together. This is kind of figuring out how much fruit and veggies you guys get in a day and trying to make sure we can always, improve that. Because as we, age, sometimes our fruit and veggie consumption goes down and we lose that habit of getting those fruits and veggies in. So that's why with our meal today, we added those extra veggies in our lettuce, and we also had our salsa all put together. And I'm going to send you guys this challenge link to sign up. It's completely free. It's only a week-long challenge, and I'm going to send this to you guys when I have that recording. So as you guys are finishing up, we are going to have a class next month in September 11th from 4:30 to 5:15, like always. Now, I can't remember exactly what you guys are making, but let me take a peek right now and see if I can figure that out for us. Because we made our tacos and our salsa this time, and you guys are going to be making, let's see, September. Ooh, okay, so September is going to be a cheesy apple ham melt with homemade applesauce. Ooh, okay. That sounds delicious, but I'll make sure to send you guys that link to sign up for the next class. So you guys will get your challenge link. You'll get the link to sign up for the next one. I will send out this handout with recipes again, and I will also send out that class recording to any of our friends that were not able to attend live. But you guys did so good. I'm so happy to see that the tacos are turning out well. Thanks so much for participating, guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your night and enjoy your last few days of summer before school starts again. Awesome. If anyone wants to show off their creations, I'm going to go grab my other taco and then we are out of here. Hey, perfect. All right, I've got my tacos ready and I've got my salsa ready as well. Makes a lot of salsa, doesn't it? But that's going to be great for you guys to snack on throughout the week. Well, perfect. Keep an eye out for that email. It'll probably come closer to next week. But thanks so much for joining me, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your night.